A few weeks ago, a high school Luigi player beat the best melee player in the world. I made a video about it, it blew up, and most people assumed it was a miracle. But then, he did it again.
Zain's just a trash-ass bitch, I don't know what else to say, bro. That guy just does not know the Luigi matchup. Come on, bro. Get a hold of yourself, Zain. Come on, you're the #1 player, dude.
So, naturally, you would expect the best player in the world to lock in and shut it down. But instead, this happened.
Zain having a hard time KOing right now, and this is a lot of juicy percent.
No way, dude.
Oh, no way! There's no way! And he gets off the chair to show the crowd.
Call it.
Oh my goodness, are we done here?
I've never seen a set end after
Holy
2 stocks,
shit.
after 3 stocks.
He called him a trash-ass bitch in the game!
Luigi is not supposed to be doing this. We just went over this. And yet, here we are, for a 3rd time. This isn't just a Cinderella run anymore, it is a pattern. The answer to the best melee player in the world may just be this kid playing Luigi. Oh, wait, hang on a minute. Yeah, I'll get back to him.
Oh, yes!
Thank you to Mantis Sleep, who is paid to be mentioned in today's video. If you're new to my channel, first off, welcome, but I try really hard to be as transparent about brand deals as I can. Mantis Sleep was a group that was on my list for a really long time because I've been a fan of their products for a really long time, so getting them to get in touch with me was honestly a match made in heaven. I own legitimately every single mask they have to offer, and they've all made my sleep so much better. I don't wear them all at once like this for the record, but if I did, I'm sure I'd still sleep fine, I guess. From a new gen sound sleep mask to a silk mask to even a weighted mask, they also have interchangeable eye cups. They're pro design engineered for side sleeping, and even ones you can stick in the microwave or freezer for heat or cold therapy. All of them are total blackout, like I can't see anything behind these, and they've honestly helped me relax and sleep a lot better than I thought I would. So if you're interested, you can use my promo code WALT at checkout or go to the link in the description and you'll get 10% off your order. And just as a heads up, I'll also get a small commission as well, so thanks for helping me out. Thank you again to Mantis Sleep for supporting the channel. Get yourself a good night's rest when you're done watching my videos, of course, and I hope you enjoy today's video. Okay, so last time I talked about why this shouldn't really be possible. I mean, Luigi's history, the matchup, the tier list arguments, but if it happens 3 times, there's gotta be more to it than just luck. It's a pattern. The question we're trying to answer now is no longer how did this happen, it's why does it keep happening, and why can't Zain stop it? And look, I play Mario. I get that you can like type your responses or whatever and say that my opinion is invalid, but the plumbers are a lifestyle, man, and I live for Cinderella stories like these. But at this point, despite being quite confident in my knowledge of the game, I felt like I was missing something. So I did what any rational person would do and went straight to the source. I consulted the Luigi mains. And boy, let me tell you, they are fucking insane. But actually though, after their collective plumber hive mind got done memeing on me by sending my own video back to me to review, I actually learned a ton in there, both from a lore and game mechanics perspective. I got in touch with Gibbles, RapMonster's coach, and he told me like everything. First off, he opened with a pretty bold claim that an unranked player named Anakin was actually the best Marth player versus Luigi like in the entire world. For some more background on that, Anakin was apparently absolutely destroying RapMonster at in-region tournaments around 2023 and 2024, and several members of the Luigi Discord were in agreement with Gibbles when the tag came up. From what I could see in the limited sets I got to watch of his, it seemed like Anakin really had an optimized edgeguard flowchart nailed down. Once we got done waxing poetic on Anakin though, Gibbles went into more detail on his perception of quote-unquote bad matchups, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Here he says, a bad matchup for Pikachu is him getting invalidated by Puff circle camping him, forcing players like Jaychu, Swift, and Axe to switch for the matchup. A bad matchup for Donkey Kong involves him getting chain grabbed by Sheik to death. A bad matchup for Yoshi is him getting boxed out by Fox while he himself struggles to find openings and finish edgeguards. A bad matchup for Luigi is a character abusing his awful disadvantage state of him being in the air and having to recover. So every character in Melee has a way to make up for these bad matchups, and wow, if only there was some kind of like tiered list of sorts that could tell us how characters can make up for their weaknesses in a vacuum, or something. But yeah, anyway, being able to compensate for bad matchups doesn't necessarily make the qualities of those bad matchups any more redeemable. Luigi, however, can make up for some of his disadvantages by having an explosive punish game and a very fast and tricky neutral. So in this case, I still do hold my position from the previous video that Marth is a bad matchup for the Green Plumber, and so do most of the Luigi Discord too, for what it's worth. But Luigi's burst movement options are at like a perfect speed where he can interrupt Marth at ranges where other mid-tiers typically can't. Most characters, especially mid-tiers, have to completely respect Marth in neutral. That's like kind of his whole thing. But Luigi is one timing read away from something like a wave dash in F tilt, a down smash between Marth's aerials, or just about any launcher available in his kit. Also, one last note from Gibbles, but he asked me to mention that he warmed RapMonster up for Zain prior to Genesis, and that in every step RapMonster has made as a top player, Gibbles has been right behind him to make sure he's prepared for any matchup. That is just so fucking wholesome. Anyway, after the first time RapMonster beat Zain, the easy explanation and out was gonna be volatility. In the last video, I zeroed in on edgeguards playing a huge factor, and Gibbles agreed. In fact, even going as far to say that the edgeguard game is quite good for Luigi. He even says RapMonster hasn't unlocked everything Luigi is capable of in that department yet, so that's like super exciting. I mentioned drop down bear in my last video, but to quickly recap that, you'll often see RapMonster find moments where Zain is side B'ing or double jumping to recover, which kind of invites that edgeguard. It's a very common edgeguarding route for the plumbers because the bear lasts for a while, so even if you miss the initial startup of the move, you can still catch a Marth trying to recover too close, and you really only need like a single hit to kill a Marth without resources under most circumstances. Like I said, I already went over most of this in the last video, but the big thing RapMonster introduced in this Genesis set happened once Zain started recognizing these drop-down bears. Check this out, in this clip, RapMonster has already conditioned Zain into doing early up B onto the stage. From there, RapM could just neutral get up from the ledge after the up B goes high and land an up B of his own. It happened in the last stock of Game 2, and then for Zain's first 2 stocks of Game 4, and then as soon as Zain tries to jump to ledge on his 3rd stock, it is right back to the well with drop down bear. This level of conditioning allows for the expansion of Rap's edgeguard tree, but knowing he can just react to close jumps or side Bs from Zain makes the drop down bear a tool Zain always has to pay attention to. It's great, I love it. Cinema. I also really want to quickly point out Rap's mashing technique to get the absolute most out of Luigi's weird and sometimes linear recovery. Basically, he's just moving his other thumb over and getting like a jitter click going by moving the controller against his leg. I actually interviewed one of the best Dr. Mario players in the world, Franz, about this technique years ago, so it was cool to see it be used across plumbers and eras. The long and short of this is RapMonster is making Zain work for every single edgeguard, and the percentage of edgeguards converted into stocks being grossly RapMonster favored has very obviously been a huge difference maker in these sets. I know I devoted an entire segment to edgeguards in the last video, but it really can't be overstated how good Rap's edgeguard game is in this matchup. He makes it look easy when it is in fact not easy at all. Generally speaking, Luigi is forced to be tricky in how he conditions his opponents to shield. RapM is great at finding these moments and getting grabs, but the issue here is that otherwise, Luigi doesn't really have the greatest options in the world versus a shield. You can crash on top of them with a double aerial like Dare or Nair for some pressure, but every single Luigi in the world does that and it's predictable. In most situations, Luigi just isn't like a Fox who can safely land an aerial on shield and get away with pressuring the block. He's not like Marth either, who can leverage enormous disjoints. So as a result, the way you condition a shield as Luigi is via movement. Traditional wisdom says to always DI behind Luigi against his throws, and by traditional wisdom I mean Mewtwo King.
I don't know if you're aware of this. If you just hold toward Luigi, he can't throw combo you.
Obviously there's a lot more nuance to it than just that, but most of the reason for this kind of blanket statement is because DIing behind Luigi's up and down throws make it less likely to receive an optimal follow-up hit. This always DI behind mantra isn't exactly always true either, as one could probably predict, as Luigi does have a few true confirms at 0% off up throw, but I digress. After speaking to the Luigi cohort, I learned of the wonders of forward throw. This throw is the opposite of up and down throw. If you hold straight towards Luigi, you get sent the least distance, which can let Luigi find some pretty neat follow-ups. A lot of forward throws in Melee are used mostly for positioning or to go for like a super big DI callout. In some matchups you can forward throw into chain grabs or tech chases, but usually it's just for position. But because Luigi has a completely absurd wave dash link, he can actually link forward throw followed by a wave dash into moves like forward tilt, down smash, or even a regrab in some scenarios. So you can use the low percent up and down throws to set the tone, and then your forward throw confirms can come in for some extra sauce. What I'm describing here is essentially the bones of a 50-50, but I think you get it. And what you're subscribing to is me. Please? Okay, leave a comment if you want to see more Luigi videos, I guess. I spent a lot of time in the last video talking about edgeguarding, which implicitly means the Luigi player is in an advantageous state such that an edgeguard can even be possible. But what I want to touch on here is the neutral game. Neutral is the reason Marth terrorizes most mid and low tiers, because as mentioned before, they're typically required to respect his range. Some of the Luigis in the server actually consider the neutral game versus Marth to be pretty fine, all things considered. Luigi's disadvantage is just so bad in the air or offstage that a lot of folks just chalk that up to the neutral being bad, but for players like Hoborg, he thinks the scrappy mix-ups are very real and very solid for the green machine. Blue machine? What? Okay. The biggest general note I can provide here for this matchup is that Marth probably has to learn the matchup in a more sophisticated way than most other top tiers. It isn't an uncommon position at all for a mid tier to live like forever versus a Marth, especially when you throw stage counter picks in the mix. So the concept that mid tiers don't necessarily feel as at risk of dying at any possible moment versus Marth as they tend to feel versus characters like Fox or even Falcon, as we saw from RapMonster's double elimination to 2 of them at Genesis, probably makes Luigi feel a bit more comfortable in the matchup despite it still being pretty bad. Look at this one. It's right after the big clip, which I'll get to in a minute, but RapMonster does like several really good and really subtle things here in neutral. First, he opts to drift in dare for a traded hit instead of escaping to a side platform as most players would try to do at early percents. Then he does a dash back into shield drop into Waveland in instead of just going for an approach outright to add some type of delay, which is great. A second later, when he gets grabbed, and as the commentator points out, RapMonster breaks the disadvantage state by going for what appears to be a really obvious attempt at an edge cancel missile, and Zain kind of just lets him do it. RapMonster even waits for a brief moment, and you can see Zain start up a dare, but Rap's able to find an up air to reverse the situation. Every single choice here, despite this sequence being kind of like clunky on both ends, is just a teensy tiny bit off kilter from what your average Luigi player would go for. It's confusing. Just like the delays I mentioned in edge guarding, the same principles apply here. Things like wave dash in, dash away into wave dash in again creates a ton of ambiguity, and Marth just simply does not have the frame data to play reactive in all of those scraps. Okay, so I think we can get to the big one now, and it was in the very first game of this set. As we just talked about, RapMonster starts the early percents with an up throw into double fair, and then as he recovers back from Zain's counterpunch, he does some really tricky movement by double jumping, then immediately spending his Cyclone to halt his momentum. In a lot of circumstances, it can be pretty freaking terrible to just like blow all of your resources at once, but this one is really cool to me because it changes up the arc in which Zain is already counting on from Rap's double jump, and forcing him to not only have to react to the Luigi down B, but also space a fair accordingly in order to actually connect it. The Luigi jump gets around the first fair, and the switch up to the down B gets the second one to miss too. So the win here for RapMonster is that he got to touch the ground, which means his jumps are restored as the inevitable follow-up hit from Zain comes through. This time, RapMonster forgoes the offstage minigame entirely and sends it way over the top, gets the juicy dare, free rolls it into an up air, and I think a lot of Luigis probably look for something like Waveland forward tilt to force the edgeguard now. But again, and this is what makes RapMonster so good, he subverts all of our expectations and goes for Waveland into platform cancel nair. Which, 1, this is insane, and 2, the platform cancel is actually optimal to continue the punish since it leaves him on top of the side platform in perfect position to grab another aerial. The fair gets RapMonster the offstage he's looking for, but I feel like we've already seen this movie before, and any viewers of the last video probably know how this one is gonna end. The will of the misfire. This right here is the stock where it stopped feeling like mythology and more like history in the making. The fact that RapMonster got out of his chair on this stock before the very first game was even complete, I'm just certain he knew he was winning the set from that moment on. And that is just pure aura, man.
Zain having a hard time KOing right now, and this is a lot of juicy percent.
Oh, no way, dude.
Oh, no way! There's no way! And he gets off the chair and he shows the crowd.
Call it.
Oh my goodness. goodness, are we done here?
I've never seen a set end after
Holy
2 stocks,
shit.
after 3 stocks.
He called him a trash ass bitch in the game! There's no way! There's no way. Okay, RapMonster's got to clean this up. If there's one person you don't want to give a chance, it is Zain.
He's not doing it right now, though, and I honestly think Zain looks kind of flustered, which is so rare to see for this player. Like, honestly, that was a really obvious edge cancel bit, but he's not ready for it.
Of course you're going to be flustered.
Yeah.
Your opponent got out of the chair. How can you not be flustered?
He's
There's
dead.
no way.
Game 1 to RapMonster.
There's no way.
Emphatically, with
Oh
a
my
misfire
God.
on top.
He looks into the crowd. How much aura does one Luigi have?
A few weeks ago, this was just a cool story that happened to do pretty well on my YouTube channel. Now it's a recurring problem in competitive Melee. And if it keeps happening, we're not just talking about a renaissance anymore. It is a complete paradigm shift. The crazy part about this isn't that Luigi can win, because we've seen plenty of low and mid tiers win before. The scary part is that this wasn't entropy working as intended. There was no lucky misfire to barely scrape out a win, it was just a teenage Luigi main absolutely dismantling the best player in the world. And if that best player in the world can't immediately shut it down, it says something. It says that this probably shouldn't be happening. I mean, I've already established this probably shouldn't be happening, but after 3 sets, come on, like, you don't get to call it luck anymore. You don't get to call it matchup ignorance, you don't get to call it chaos. At some point, you have to admit that something has changed. And if the answer to the best Melee player in the world is a teenager wearing a backpack through every set playing Luigi, then maybe this 25-year-old game isn't as solved as we thought. Thanks for watching. Big thank you to Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Brent Mukai, Carter Roberts, Dark Genix, Eric is Cool, Gustavo Cantu Fernandez, James Fabman, Justin Duncan Mills, Kyle Carlin, Marshall Bradley, and Sam Wright. If you want to see your name in the credits or you want to just help out the channel a little bit, go check out my Patreon. Alright, thanks, bye!